Hey, coming up on today's podcast, we've got some interesting news from the recent CES show out of Las Vegas, which is the big tech show. We're going to talk a little colors, little chameleon activity going on that they had going on at the show, which will be interesting. I like it. We got a take on this, so this will be fun. So, what else is going on at that show?
We got same show, different news. We got Elon Musk, and we got Tesla. We got boring Tesla news. How's that?
Yeah. And the trend of the argument between who's going to win the race to the off-roading king between Ford and Jeep. We've got a little bit of information on. We got some numbers to share, some figures to share. So we'll let you guys conclude who the winner might be or will be. And on top of that, we've got what else about maybe an electric vehicle company?
Yeah. So, oh boy. This is for the highly controversial topic of the week. We have some filling stations, as they used to be called, or modern day gas stations. Now, what are we going to call them if they start adding charging capabilities?
Ooh, man. And
I knew this was coming.
Wait a minute. He said EV. EV.
All right, everybody.
EV.
There's more on that one, too. Keep listening, and we'll fill you in.
Everybody, welcome into the podcast. This next episode into the new year of 2022. Good to be here, Clark. How are you over there, my friend?
Hey, everybody. Hey, Jay. It's
Keith.
It's another week. It's another podcast.
It's Eddie. It's Eddie over there. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, you need to go to our YouTube channel over at youtube.com/Parts Kind of Gurus. And Keith and I did a really, really cool, just a holiday wishes, Christmas greeting, if you will, outtake from the recent performance racing industry show in Indianapolis, Indiana. It was great. So go watch it and you'll see what we're talking about. Eddie.
Happy to report that the hat has served many purposes, including, we got a bunch of snow last week. Right. We were out sledding. We were out doing some night sledding. I got some great drone footage. I mounted one of those super bright LEDs on with some double-sided adhesive tape to my drone. And I got the kids all, going down the hill at night, and they all got their headlamps on. So I'm out there. I got my, Cousin Eddie bomber hat, right? But I had to add the Snoopy goggles because we were sledding. You can't get the snow in your eyes when you're sledding, man. So I went full, it's... But look, the adults were all drinking at that point anyway. Nobody cared.
Yeah. I have one of those hats, man. I should whip that thing out.
They're
sometimes.
Super warm.
They're great for, in a very windy situation, for sure, no doubt about it. But I'm not real big on the full facial mask and stuff in the wind and stuff. But
you don't want to look like a bank hop, right?
Well, I wear glasses, man, so it kind of makes it a little difficult for me. Oh, by the way, glitch away, my friend. Just saying. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting, actually. But, hey, the hats are we all kind of have our choices. I tend to sweat a lot if I put too much on my head, and I don't like it. It kind of gets me lightheaded, so I have to be careful with that. So, that's I don't go like full on like Eskimo, but I just try not to... I don't like the big Parkers and, being, like...
Well, there's a big difference between, going to the grocery store, right, in your car, and being out on the slopes for an hour when it's 20, 15, 17 degrees out. what was uncomfortable, I found, it changes your perspective on. It's funny because I'm the guy that shows up with all the like hand warmers and like extra layers of socks and and that stuff all just becomes everyone else's by the time the day is done because I'm the only one that's prepared.
Absolutely. We, as you well know, we had a bunch of snow too. We counted 21 inches that we had all total in 12 days. Lost power for 36 hours, was not fun. We actually stayed in our home during that time because I just wanted to be around to make sure things didn't go crazy. That was cold. I was not going to do it another night. So luckily we got our power back and we were good to go. So now we're all refreshed and fixed and warm and clean, and our bellies are full from all the holidays and all that good stuff. So we're pretty happy. Did you get any cool gifts for Christmas?
Oh yeah, man. I got yeah. I mean, heated vest on the topic of what we were just talking about, being outside in the cold. And I got some cool stuff. What'd you get?
Well, I think I didn't get a whole lot. I mean, I never ask for much. I'm not a bah humbug. For me, it's Christmas year round. I just get what I want.
Yeah, as one of my friends used to say, when you're a guy, every day is Christmas. So
absolutely,
I get
man.
it.
So I just kind of go get. So I'm hard to shop for. I just say, give me more Amazon cards or something,
Right.
And so that's kind of what I do. But I think the most interesting gift that I got actually came from you.
Oh, how was it?
You can definitely taste that bourbon and scotch in that coffee, man. It is like almost. It's really like I'm drinking it, going, whoa, I could get in trouble. If I were like working at an office somewhere and they came in and sniffed my cup, thinking it has bourbon in it. But so Keith got me a few cans of chilled coffee. But he also got me a couple of cans, which those cans are cool, man.
It's a cool company. It's
it's Oak and Barrel, right?
Yeah,
is the name of it. So we'll leave maybe a little link to the end to mention on the podcast if you guys want to go buy yourself some. But it's really good stuff. But I like the iced coffee. The beans are interesting. They come in cans, just like a regular beer can, and you pop the top. But it has a black lid that goes over the top of it to seal it, to keep it, which comes in handy after you get rid of those cans. They fit nicely on a regular can.
Oh yeah.
So if you open up a can of Coke or a can of, say, cider or beer, and you don't want it to tip over in the fridge, you're not going to pour the whole thing. Just pop that cap on it and keep her fresh and keep her from tipping over.
You're all but guaranteed at this point, Jay, that they're going to stop making them or go out of business. And I say this partially in jest because the minute that I love a product, it's like doomed. I mean, it is TV shows. My track record of falling in love with whether it, again, certain radio stations, format change, just you name it, man. Series on Netflix. If I love it, it's going under. I can, so their days are numbered. I've been wanting one of these for a couple years, those bar machines.
Oh, yeah.
So I got one for the holidays.
Oh, nice.
And my wife was like, yeah, it's weird. I got it for like 50% off.
Oh.
Right? Made by Keurig. We went with the one with the brand name made by, because there's a couple of them out there. There's like Barmaster, and the idea is, and some of them are different. Some of them, like, you literally take like a bottle of whiskey and you pour it in the machine and then it mixes the drinks for you.
Right.
But of course the Keurig ones, it's designed with pods. Like you put, like, let's say you want an old fashioned, right? Mm-hmm. So the whiskey and the mix, including like the orange bitters and all that, is in the pod, and it's got CO2 cartridges, and you just pour water in the tank and it mixes your drink. It chills the water. If you want it on the rocks, it'll put it on the rocks, and so on and so forth, right? So this thing's amazing. Literally, like the week after Christmas, I get this notice that they're going under. Keurig's not going under,
but
that division, it's sort of like Chrysler's, SRT Hellcat.
Okay.
It's like,
all right.
we're done.
Wow. Okay, so we'll put a link in there and mention on the podcast for if you want to, go ahead and grab one of those soon to be obsolete bar machines.
So I went out and grabbed a bunch of the pods, of course, and a bunch of the CO2 cartridges.
Well, you know what, man? I wonder how much of COVID has contributed to this on another level, and not from not being able to find components or make them or find employees, but how much the alcohol distribution laws have been changed just to kind of accommodate. You think about that.
So that's a good point. So I will tell you this though. Could be. You can order these online, and it is legal, at least here where I live, to have them delivered.
Interesting.
And so all the COVID changes over. You can literally, and I've done this, ladies and gentlemen. You can go on Apple's website. You can order a $3,000-$4,000 computer or more. Have them show up at your front door. FedEx will hand it to you. Drop it off. No signature required. Leave it on your front door without you being there. Remember the old days? You had to. Apple. You always had to sign for like stuff over like a certain price amount, right?
Right.
Not anymore. Not since COVID. Except, Jay, last week, FedEx shows up at my door, and I got the thing. It said signature required. I knew it was the drink pods, and he goes, "This must be alcohol." And I went, "That's exactly right. How did you know?" And he goes, "Because that's like the only thing we have to get signatures on anymore."
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Well, the reason why I bring that up is because more and more I'm seeing in, say, your big box stores like Costco, and where you can actually sell wine and spirits, and grocery stores where they have mixed drinks, both mixers and. There are still some states out there that you can't. Is Tennessee still that way to where you separate? I know South Carolina's that way where you separate.
Weird. So it used to be that you could not buy liquor in the grocery stores.
Right.
But it was also kind of a vice versa kind of deal where you could not buy groceries in the liquor store.
Correct. Cokes. Okay. Like you could buy the booze, but you couldn't buy the mixers to go with the booze unless the mixer had booze in it.
Yeah, it was weird, man. It's like I'm literally buying, like, I want to make an old fashioned. I couldn't buy the whiskey or the bourbon here at the same store that I could buy the mixer or the bitters or whatever. So that changed a little bit when they passed the wine law where the grocery stores were allowed to sell wine, and it was basically alcohol under a certain proof, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we all thought it was going to put the liquor stores under. It did not.
Right.
But now the liquor store, this is the best part. Now you can go into the liquor stores and you can buy like coffee with bourbon flavor in it.
Yeah.
You can buy desserts
that leveled the playing field, man. If you're gonna
pizza if you got the munchies, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, it's a one-stop shop, and I think this is the way it should be. It's why it should be called a convenience mart. That's about convenience, right? And not making me run out that door into this door to go get that thing and then come back because I forgot my peanuts, so I got to go buy my peanuts to go with my drink and whatever. But I do think that COVID has had a lot to do with some of these things, man, because they had to bend the rules. I mean, they were selling pre-mixed to-go drinks that you could pick up on the curb and go. I mean, that's been done in, I think, Florida for a long time. Their laws are a little different, but I think they're going to stay in place, man, because it is a viable source of revenue, not only for the establishment offering the spirits, the wine and spirits and beers, but it's also a source of great revenue for the state, the county, and the city. So I think that they're all on board with that.
I got to be careful here.
That might be the root cause there.
Because again, the minute that I point out my appreciation and love for a product, a way of thinking, a way of doing things, it's guaranteed to put the hex on it. But, for a long time, common sense was not used. I mean, you can't legislate from common... Well, okay. So from a legal perspective, a judge is not going to... I mean, they have to follow the rule of law, right?
Right.
But I've always felt like there are certain situations where common sense just completely went out the window. That, nobody's objectively looking at situations and saying, oh, well, this is, it's fine that we, because common sense says, this is okay. We haven't ever been able to do that until COVID, and then common sense went, hey man, your rule that says that I have to be in the building to drink alcohol doesn't really work well when you also have a rule that says that I can't be in the building.
Right.
So fix it, right? And so we've sort of allowed common sense to prevail. And as usual, Jay, this will work until one person decides to take advantage of the situation.
Yep. That's how it always works. They ruin it for the rest of us. That's the way it works. So that was colorful. That was a colorful conversation. I enjoy those, man. I really, really like. This is why I love the podcast. So if you like our podcast, make sure you go to partscounterguru.com and you will see the podcast tab up in the upper left-hand corner for podcast links. Make sure you subscribe. You can go to any platform, Spotify, Apple, Google, you name it. We're there. Stitcher, TuneIn. We're on all of them. So make sure you subscribe for more of these colorful conversations that we have. Also, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is at youtube.com/PartsCounterGurus. Follow us on social, Facebook.com/PartsCounterGurus, Instagram.com/ThePartsCounterGurus. We're over on Twitter as well, and our handle is @TheCounterShow. We love you. Thank you for subscribing. If you're subscribed, if you're not, make sure that you turn that red button to gray. We'll take all the subscriptions that we can get. So, on to color.
Yeah. So, Jay, the Germans have long been known, in fact, renowned for their engineering, especially their automotive engineering.
Cutting edge technologies.
Leave it to the Australians to add the frosting on the cake, so to speak,
and
right?
It truly is frosting.
Now, this lady.
But what color do you like your frosting?
It's subjective, right? It could be dependent on the user or the mood or the crime in progress. We'll get to that in a minute. But
that is correct.
So Stella Clark, Australian engineer, which I feel like could also double as the name of a light alcoholic beverage. I don't know.
Can I have a large Stella Clark, please?
Has figured out a way in partnership with BMW that has a car that can change colors for you at the touch of a button.
Pretty amazing, the technology that's gone into this. But what it is, though, is the technology has actually been right up under our noses for a long time. And it uses a technology called electrophoresis. Okay? So for those of you who do not know what electrophoresis is, it is a laboratory technique used to separate DNA, RNA, or protein molecules based on their size and electrical charge. Then a small electrical charge current is used to move molecules and be separated through a gel or whatever. So iPads,
so
Kindles,
it's magic.
E-readers. Yeah, it is. It's voodoo magic, man.
So
it's
now hold on a second here. Okay, so we'll get to the details of how this works in a minute. But can we just, for the sake of, I feel like this is going to revive Nicolas Cage's career. Okay.
Man.
So, here we have Bruckheimer doing his action movies, which, honestly, he's ruined so many of my favorites over the years that I can't. Okay, but I digress. This is potentially not just a Bruckheimer Cage movie, but also an in real life scenario where you're in a car chase.
Mm-hmm.
You're being chased by Johnny Law.
Yep.
They're chasing a white BMW. You go into a parking garage. You park that sucker, and they drive right past your red BMW.
Yeah, but they're not going to find me because I have a cloaking device.
Okay, well, that's the other, right? Unless they try to park in your spot and you're cloaked, and then it's,
Right, boom, boom, bang, yeah, and then up pops a red car. But they were chasing a white
car, right?
Yeah.
Or a helicopter chase if you want to go full on, like I remember Grand Theft Auto, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Grand Theft Auto, you've heard of Grand Theft Auto, surely.
Right.
Yes?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Who hasn't?
It's been around for decades.
I've played it. Yeah.
Okay.
A few times. Yeah.
So there were levels of if you smacked a woman of the night, right?
Right.
That was going to bring a certain level of response from the authorities.
Right.
If you got into a car chase situation, I mean, at some point, Jay, it got bad enough if you did enough ill that the helicopter showed up, right?
Right.
And
right.
that was pretty much you're not getting away. Well, no, think about this, okay? You bring in full-on police helicopter search. You drive through a tunnel. They're chasing a white BMW. Out the other side of the tunnel comes a purple BMW. Can't possibly be the same car, right?
Yeah, I have to think that this technology is going to meet its enemy, and that would be law enforcement. Or under certain circumstances, could this be used? It'll be a lot of red tape. I don't know, maybe it's white tape that for them to go through to get this thing, like into a production style. I think it'll be interesting to see what local law or just federal law has to say about this type of technology for this.
Just before we got into this segment on the podcast, by the way, if you're not subscribed to the podcast, we have one of those too. It's over on our website at partscounterguru.com. Click on the podcast links tab near the top. We said, it's only going to take, it's a matter of time, and one person is going to ruin it for everybody, just like the guy that landed his drone on the White House lawn that ruined it for me. Right. I mean, it's coming, man. It is coming.
So it was unveiled at the CES show in Las Vegas.
All right.
It's the BMW iX, and it's featuring what they call their e-ink. And like I had said initially, it uses the electrophoretic technology to change the car from white to black in a similar way to liquid crystal displays, as I had already mentioned, like in your Kindle or your tablet or whatever. Your e-readers basically is what the technology is. Now, it's a wrap, like a paper. It's a thin wrap.
Yeah.
It's not an actual physical paint, but it does use a low current, an extremely low current, and it only uses the current to change the color. It doesn't have to continuously add current to it for it to sustain the color. So this is a pretty cool, and if you watch the interview with Stella, it's an extremely low cost technology that's been out there already. They're not reinventing the wheel. They're using the technology in another application, and they thought, well, why not? Let's try it on a car. And it was the talk of the show. And she was asked several times about how many different types of colors, what's the possibilities. And she described it. Right now, this one is just black and white. You can order with two different colors, your favorite colors, but there are multiple applications where they use different type color schemes, and it's very similar to like a printer cartridge. So you got your black and white, and then you got your blue, fuchsia, and whatever those.
It's right
to make all of these
cyan,
different colors.
Magenta. It's either RGB, CMYK. Typically, you mix. Depending on what your color palette is, you mix versions of either three colors, RGB, red, green, blue, or four colors, cyan, magenta, yellow, and cayenne? Cayenne. I said anyway.
Cayenne.
No, that was the first one.
Oh.
Cyan, magenta, yellow, black? Anyway.
I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Hey, it's a car show, everybody.
Right. But she says that it works
you mix
very
them, and you get that.
And you get that. So she says, basically, I mean, it's endless on the colors choices that you can make. That technology is further down the road. Right now, they're just doing the two. You could go from, like, say, red to yellow or whatever.
Which is good enough in a car chase, as I always like to say.
I have another use for this thing, which was brought to my attention. Okay. So I got to give credit where credit is due, because we were having this conversation. Daniel, who is the developer of our logo, thank you very much, sir, for that. And if you like our logo, go to partscounterguru.com, and you can see that icon, or it's on the screen here probably somewhere. Okay. Oh, look, it's on that hat that Keith has. Look at that. Huh? Look at that. Imagine that logo, right? Anyway, we were having this discussion. He says, can you imagine if this technology was used in, say, interior paint, like a wallpaper, to where you never, like if you wanted to change your room color, what about exterior colors? It's a wrap. Wow. Wouldn't that be cool? So you could have, one day your house could be white on the outside, or maybe the next day it's some sort of like, brown or something, or a blue or a light blue or whatever. Same way on the interior. Your mood changes. You decide you want to buy a new set of furniture. I mean, it just seems endless to me. What about you? You said you got an idea on this stuff.
So, by the way, the K in CMYK stands for key.
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha.
Just to close the loop on that. So last week on this program, we did the little thing about car theft and air tags, and you can watch that video. It's not actually, by the time this is out, that one will be out. It's about to be uploaded. But people were putting Apple AirTags in cars and stealing cars, and I said, Jay, let's bring back Viper. You remember this?
I do.
Okay. And when the theory was we put a capacitor in the car, right?
Right.
Okay. This BMW color changing technology, their e-ink, uses low voltage, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Ooh, multiple applications for the same components, right?
Ooh.
So we put BMW with some security folks at Viper, or they do it on their own or whatever. But you also implement basically an electromagnetic shield on the car so that if people get a little too up close and personal with your BMW, you give them a little zappy zap.
Right.
Right?
Like a bug zapper, man. Yeah. I want this bug zapper, though. I want it to actually, when the bug gets zapped in the bug zapper, I want to see that blue spark.
Yeah.
That lets you know you were there.
It's like fireworks, man.
Yeah. So anyway, wow, that's some cool technology, don't you think?
I do.
Would you get into it? I would. I'd get into it. I'd use it.
Yeah. Okay. So CES.
It doesn't end there.
Quite a few interesting things happening at CES. What's our next one?
Well, as you guys know, Keith and I took a little ride through what they call the Las Vegas Loop when we were at SEMA Show back in November. And we shot a video on it, and you can go to partscounterguru.com or go to youtube.com/partscounterguru, and you can click on the Las Vegas Loop video where we take you through this tunnel that was provided by, the one and only Tesla, the Boring Company.
Yeah, it's Elon Musk's Boring Company.
Right.
By the way, everyone, if you're just joining, thank you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. I'm Keith. That's my pal Jay over there. This is a little program we like to call the Counter Show. And
we just do this for fun.
Yeah. We have a podcast over on our website, partscounterguru.com. Thank you for watching the video. Tell your friends. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, it seems that only the people of CES, the folks that frequent this show, could cause this problem, I guess. I don't know. Maybe all of them wanted to do it at the same time, but
we did a lot of... It was busy as could be at SEMA. They ran that thing like...
They did, and I don't know what changed, but we had no issue with a traffic jam. But supposedly, it's kind of like break the internet with a video or whatever. They broke the tunnel, the loop. They somehow or another caused a traffic jam, which is kind of odd that would happen.
Okay, so if you, okay, so for those of you that refuse to go back and watch our video on how this works... shame on you, but let me just quickly explain. So these are all Tesla model. I think they're X's. They're 3s or X's. I don't know. I can't remember.
I think 3s.
But it's one way. It's one lane through the tunnel. It's a loop. It's called the loop for a reason. The cars operate in one direction. They just make a big loop, and they are driven by a human, by a driver. And, full safety protocols in place. The thing will do what? Like up to 20, is it 20 or 40 miles an hour is their top end?
It's like 40 miles an hour in there. And we got pretty fast.
The self-driving thing could do it on its own. The tunnels are lit. There's, markers on the side, all that. But the typical the things that you would have in a normal environment that cause traffic pileups, like multiple lanes where somebody cuts you off, or somebody running a light, or there being an intersection, or objects on the road, things, people, animals running out in front of you. Not all of that is removed from this closed loop environment.
Right.
So it makes it even more interesting how something like this could happen.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I see why. Let's just face it. It's a very small track or tunnel area that they're working with here. And that's a lot of people that they're cramming into those shows now, which is kind of odd to me because we saw footage. It didn't appear that it was as well attended even as SEMA was. So I find it very interesting. But it kind of goes back to what the initial, I think, to avoid these types of traffic jams. You had so many people trying to get in there, and they're just trying to make people happy by giving them a ride and all that kind of stuff. I get it. It's free transportation at this point. And I think the initial idea behind this was that Elon Musk was going to be building a like passenger van style Tesla, like a shuttle bus, to move more than just 3 or 4 people in one vehicle. And that'll eliminate some of that congestion. So for someone to say that it didn't work, I don't agree with that. I think that you've got a certain set of circumstances here that caused the backlog of traffic and just kind of an interesting take on why this may have happened. I just think that it was the right time, right place. All the circumstances kind of piled in, and that's why this happened. So, I mean, initially when we walked down through there and we got down and we were in front of the spot where our Tesla's going to pull up, I mean, it was not congested. Do you think, Keith? I mean, I didn't think it was that congested.
They did a good. It wasn't noticeable. There were a lot of people moving through there, but they did a good job in managing the traffic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the thing about him is, I'm talking about Elon, he pushes the envelope of innovation. I think that's why so many people are drawn to him. You know, not everything he does is a huge success on the first shot. I mean, you know, they've had rockets blow up on the launch pad. They've certainly had issues with their car development. Mm-hmm. But who else out there has pushed the envelope this far? Would we? I guess this is the question, everybody, and tell us what you think in the comments. Would we be where we are today, technologically, with some of this stuff without Elon Musk? I mean, that's kind of the question. I'm reading some of the comments here on one of the new pages of that article. Yeah, this is from a guy. It says Musk is the male equivalent of Elizabeth Holmes. All that's the Theranos, yeah.
Theranos, okay. Yeah.
All talk, no results, massively subsidized by our tax dollars, and he complains about taxes. The guy is a trash can con man. The science doesn't care about your fantasies. I'm not so sure that's accurate.
I don't feel that it is. I think that his contributions to science and technology far exceed any explanation that guy just gave. So, it's a bad point, dude. Don't you think?
I kind of do. I think people are just going to find their confirmation bias, and you know that's what they're going to believe. I'm not saying that we're there yet. I'm not saying that electric vehicles or tunnels under the city or the space rocket thing has reached the level of Apple stardom where it's like revolutionized the world. But I do think we're pretty far along. I mean, who else has taken rockets up to space to the internet, or who else is supplying the International Space Station right now? If it wasn't for that guy, I mean, NASA's
exactly, you know. And he's working on Starlink, which could potentially be a huge benefit, especially in a time like COVID, where not all children have access to good internet connectivity. He could really be breaking barriers with that technology if he can ever get it to where we need it. He's already launched the satellites and everything. There are some of these other comments that this guy has commented on. It's just ridiculous as well.
Las Vegas has the monorail. You have public transportation. You can Uber. You can Lyft. You can take a taxi. You can walk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
this same guy says to another guy who commented, he goes, "I get the fanboy mentality, but Holmes tricked investors for years. Elon isn't a god king. He's the Tony Robbins of tech. He claimed this tunnel would be fully automated and go 115 miles an hour. What we got was a 30 mile an hour with drivers. An EV taxi service in a subway tunnel is so groundbreaking." Okay, dude.
There's some truth to that.
Do you know anybody else out there that's even attempting to do this? And the other thing that I say about that is this. You can't get there in one day.
Well, that's true. So
we didn't get to the moon on one rocket. It took decades, and it took a lot of rockets and a lot of lives lost in the process. That's how science works. So if you want to sit back and throw the darts, go ahead, bud. You're more than welcome to. And you can comment on our channel too, pal.
Yeah, those are the same. Like my internet's down. What am I going to do with my life? Like for the next 20 minutes? Well,
right.
What you did 15 years ago before you didn't have it. I don't know.
Right. It's funny they don't feel the same way about their 5G service, right, or 4G service, or whatever.
Right.
Anyway,
but might have to dig on Elon just a little bit here.
Go ahead,
man. This is fascinating for a lot of reasons. So
I agree.
Times are changing, right? One way or the other.
Big time.
What we are talking about on this very program 6 months from now will be a change from where we are today with the vehicle world, with the EV world, with all of it. And in particular, we got some Tesla Cybertruck news. This is a real head scratcher, by the way, if you're just joining us. Say hi to Jay over there, everybody. I'm Keith. This is the Counter Show. Welcome in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, ring the bell. You'll get notified when we do our next update on this very topic. Now, Jay, so news dropped by way of several astute website watchers, I guess.
Yeah, I think Car and Driver was involved in some of this stuff. Car Scoops, they've dropped some information out there on us, and what has already become a very competitive sector of the EV market, EV sector, not just EVs in general, but this particular sector, which is the pickup trucks. Elon came to the table with the Cybertruck and made a lot of promises on delivery. While in the meantime, he's making promises on delivery, Rivian comes out and actually went to production and delivered the first all-electric, battery-electric pickup truck. That happened. Now you have Ford with the F-150 Lightning that has sold over 200,000 or taken over 200,000 reservations. They've had to close reservations because of that so that they can meet the already high demand. Mm-hmm. You can check out our last podcast over at PartsCounterGuru.com and check out episode 111. We talk specifically about this. Or you can go to YouTube.com/PartsCounterGurus and check out the video where we talk about Ford and their production and pricing and the live configurator that's out there already. And now we've got Chevrolet that comes out with the Silverado EV, which kind of twisted me a little bit because it doesn't look like the regular Silverado. They kind of tweaked it a little bit. They're kind of following the lines of maybe the GMC Hummer.
That's what I would have done. I would have branded the EV side. This is where you and Sideshot sort of are like, with the Ford, you were like, it's got to look like a Ford, or the Lexus, it's got to look like a Lexus. And I'm like, no, make it look like a completely different.
Make it look like an electric truck. And I mean, did not Elon make it look like something out of the future?
So the Cybertruck, which sort of started the whole electric truck thing, right, movement, somebody noticed that they've completely pulled all references to the Cybertruck off of, in terms of production data,
right? Not
pictures, not media, not press, but production information has been taken down from the website. Mm-hmm. Now, there could be a lot of reasons for this, everybody. It could be that they've got new production information and they're about to put that back up, and it just is going to take them a few days to do that. It could be that they're waiting on some supply chain information to update before they can put that new information out. Or it could be something much worse, like they're not sure they're going to be able to bring this into production right away. And it could end up being 5 years out, and so they've just taken it off the website.
Right, but I will say this. They did, there is that speculation that it will begin in 2022 and deliver in 2023. Tesla is still accepting $100 deposits that are refundable, unlike Ford, who has closed the reservation portal. They're no longer taking reservations for the 2022 F-150. I would imagine that once they get into production and they have satisfied a lot of those orders, they'll begin taking orders again just to kind of see where it goes. But production will ramp up on it, and I guarantee you the price is going to change from what he initially said as well, as we've seen with both, GM and Ford on some of the models where the prices have kind of gone up a little bit than what we expected or what they initially said. So
yeah, you gotta. So they've removed, specifically the thing that's the most concerning is that they've removed the claim that production would happen in 2022.
Right.
And that's not saying it won't, but Tesla is not saying it will.
No.
At this point, they've removed that commentary.
Yep, they've just basically removed that from their website, which is an indicator of they're probably sitting back. They're going to talk to their investors and, see how it goes.
Now, interestingly enough, since you mentioned investors, since this was announced, the stock has dropped overall 7.5%. So roughly in the past 5 days, it's down 7.5%.
That's not too bad in comparison to something else we're going to talk about.
It's sort of like investors aren't really fazed by it, and either they haven't noticed yet or it hasn't hit the news cycles yet because people aren't watching us.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see where this will go. But look, automakers have challenges. People are. We talked about the chip status, which is probably a big factor. And then, of course, battery production is a big factor. That's got to be a big factor.
Well,
lithium.
And look, Jay, you could be onto something there. They could be on the verge of a battery technology breakthrough, and they are waiting on that to shake loose before they begin production on a Cybertruck, because if he, let's say it's solid state, if he has the ability to go toward a solid state scenario, he has now one-upped Ford, even Rivian, right? Because they're all committed to that first generation lithium battery tech.
And we've said this all along in many podcasts and in many videos that we've put out there talking about battery technology, that seems to be the one continuously changing or piece being moved on the chessboard, if you will, or goalpost being moved, however you want to refer to this. Because
cheese.
it constantly,
I like cheese. Move my cheese.
You like cheese? Moving cheese, yeah. That there's, we worry about the lithium, being able to mine that, getting the lithium and all the other, exotic alloys. But graphite is also one of those that I don't think people realize who holds the keys to that as well. So there are so many moving pieces to this thing that could be causing this. But they still say, Elon did go, this was like in a recent, their stockholders meeting, said that the Cybertruck will be built at their new factory in Austin, Texas, which is what do they call it? Gigaplant? Is that what they call it? Gigaplant or something? Or?
Yeah, the Gigafactory. Yeah.
Gigafactory. They're saying this thing is going to have 500 plus miles of range and reach 60 miles an hour in under 2.9 seconds in its top tri-motor configuration. And I can believe that.
They've said a lot. We'll see. Now, maybe I'll throw one other possible scenario at you. This is getting ridiculous, but maybe Elon's waiting on his rockets to find the right asteroids that he can use to mine that lithium or whatever space. Maybe they've got a line on a new space element and it's going to I don't know, man. I could just see this turning into a movie at some point, everybody. So make sure you're subscribed.
Boy. Yes. Wow. Man, oh man. Man, I think my mine just got blown. I mean, we're talking stocks now. Holy cow. Yeah, we are. We are going to talk stocks. Let's talk about some recent Amazon news with Stellantis that had a kind of a ripple effect on Rivian.
Absolutely ridiculous. This is a great example of why the stock market is so subjective. It is just public opinion beyond belief, and there's good and bad with that. But in this case, it's just baseless, I think. Go ahead, Jay. What do you got?
Well, apparently, Amazon and Stellantis have partnered up, and Stellantis has committed to, developing their Ram EV, their van, delivery van, specifically for that last mile or the last few mile type delivery situations, but all electric for Amazon in trade for the in-cabin or in-cab technology, cloud services, and everything. So they've partnered up now. Stellantis and Amazon have partnered up.
Well, and they're also making, right, as part of that deal, the Amazon is going to give Stellantis the in-dash software and cloud services.
Cloud services, exactly.
For Stellantis' some of their automobiles, which is a good move because that helps them from a technological advance. They're going to have better infotainment systems. Amazon has a massively huge cloud service right now.
Right.
So it's my point in jumping in there was it's a two-way street there. That Stellantis is also getting something in return.
You help me, I'll help you, and Keith and I have said on numerous occasions that this is how this is going to happen. This is why Ford and Google, it was Google that recently partnered with Ford, right?
That's right. Like, same type scenario.
Same situation is like, okay, we're not going to focus on developing our in cabin technology because you guys know what you're doing. So why don't you do it for us? And we're going to focus on developing, the vehicles. And what does that do? That's a win-win situation for both sides because you're progressing that technology while you're meeting that goal of zero emissions, which is part of the climate pledge. They're committed to what they say 2035. I think no more gasoline engines. And GM said the same thing. You got a number of other ones that are saying the same thing. You can't do that overnight. You have to have partners in this to get there to help you develop certain aspects of the technology. And now, the stock dropped like crazy for Rivian when this news came out. And this is
11%.
11%.
Yeah.
It dropped 11%. And continued to steadily fall until recently it started coming back up, and
let me ask you a question,
up to around
Jay.
$85 a share.
This will
right
prove
now
my point about stock people's perception.
Yeah.
All right. So let me just make sure I understand this. I'm going to recap it to you. Okay, correct me where I'm wrong here. Okay, Stellantis announces a partnership with Amazon, or Amazon announces a partnership with Stellantis. One of them announces it.
Right.
And as part of that deal, as you previously said, and we were all paying attention, Stellantis, Ram is going to make some vehicles for Amazon.
Correct.
And Amazon said we're not going to just use one manufacturer. It's always been that way. Correct? Am I doing well so far?
Absolutely. They are still committed to Rivian, the 100,000 units of the Rivian product. Yes.
My Ed McMahon skills so far, so good. Okay. Now, today, as of this very moment, right now, how many electric production pickup trucks has Stellantis made?
0.
How many has Rivian made? Wait, just more than 0?
Yeah.
More than 0?
Yeah, more than 0. Yeah.
More than 10?
More than 10, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
There was probably 10 used just to get Jeff Bezos to his rockets, right?
Right.
In that
absolutely.
Promo. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. So
they already announced that, we announced on this program, by the way, make sure you hit the subscribe button. You go back and find that video. Last week, that Rivian is going forward with the production of Amazon's delivery vans. They've already had some in production and testing in markets like Los Angeles, correct?
Already delivered, already testing, yes.
Okay, so far, we've established that Rivian's already making vehicles for Amazon. Those have already been tested.
That's right.
Rivian's also making their own vehicles.
Yep.
Those are already being delivered.
Correct.
And Stellantis has yet to make anything that you can buy of the EV truck flavor.
Correct.
Well, it makes perfect sense to me then that people would change their opinion on Rivian and drop the stock.
Yeah, I get it, man. It's laughable to me. That is, and it's a reactionary process. If one starts bailing, then the rest start bailing on it. But I think that collectively everybody kind of started understanding the whole process and how this thing is working. Therefore, the shares are going back up in price, and they're steadily climbing. It did drop significantly, though, I mean, we're talking
it was
nearly
a big
100,
well, dude,
almost 103 a share.
I own some. I
almost
noticed.
103 a share.
So does SideShot.
Here's the thing, guys. Amazon is doing it's their due diligence to understand that they have a huge commitment that they put out there, and they realize, hey, we're going to let Rivian keep their commitment to us, and you guys who have invested, this in itself is proof that Amazon is not bailing on Rivian, that Rivian is going to make those 100,000 and probably more vehicles, so that your stock should be okay, in my opinion. And why would they go to an automaker like a Stellantis for this? Well, because they're not really making EVs yet, so why not us help them boost their technology, and they'll boost our technology. They are a high production manufacturer, unlike Rivian, who is not a high production manufacturer. There are so many pieces to this puzzle. At the end of the day, Amazon needs what it needs, and it's going to go get what it wants, and it has reached out to Stellantis and committed to them for that, and just as they have reached out to Rivian and committed to them, and that's going to happen, and that's going to happen. So everybody's happy, right?
Yeah.
So go buy stock everywhere, everybody.
Or you just keep freaking out, whatever.
Yeah, just keep freaking out, whatever, man. Yeah, so I think that Amazon's going to be okay, and I think that the people that come along with Amazon are going to be okay. That's just my opinion. I'm just an auto guy. That's all.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Enough of that. Hey, how you doing?
All right. Now, this one I also feel like is a little bit misleading, but we're gonna stay in the Stellantis lane, but we're gonna go off road. Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Anyway, okay, so we have sales data now for 2021 coming through from a lot of the automotive manufacturers. Jay, you watching a video?
Yeah, I got something going on over here. I can't figure it out. How do I turn this thing off?
All right. Well, while Jay's doing that,
like this. There we go.
So, sales data is out and specifically, Jalopnik's talking some trash on Jeep outselling Bronco, which in itself is not trash. That is easily believable.
The numbers are true, and the numbers that they deliver are true.
Yep.
Correct? These are factual numbers. So let's tell them.
Here they are. So the U.S. sales numbers for Ford show that in the second half of the year, the company sold just over 35,000 Broncos. Okay? Now, I don't know what sold means. Does sold mean you ordered it, or does it mean you took delivery of it? Like, did you complete the sale? The deal was signed on the dotted line. You have a signed contract. Delivery was the vehicle was delivered, or is it just paid for? I don't know. There's a lot of gray area in that. But I digress. As long as the rules were the same for both companies, it doesn't really matter.
No.
Except that Ford has a backlog of these Broncos, and they have not been making them for more than just about a year. So Jeep's been making these Jeep models for way longer than that.
Right, and they specifically talk about the Wrangler with the 392 V8 in it, as well as the 4xe.
Yeah,
these are technologies that, honestly, Stellantis was already working on.
Right.
They already have the plug-in hybrid.
And look, good for them, man. Jeeps are great. I love overlanding. That's not the point here.
You're already making the Jeep Wrangler, right?
Yep.
So the platform's there, right? You're already making the 392 V8. That's nothing new. You don't really have to change anything other than plug the stuff into the things that you're already making. So their challenge is not the same challenge that Ford had bringing an entirely new platform out.
So the total numbers, if you had the Broncos and the Bronco Sports together for 2021, they sold 143,192 units. Okay, Jeep Wrangler has sold over 204,000 Wranglers last year. If I'm Stellantis and I look at that Ford number of 140 something, even just the 35,000 units for the Broncos, I'm worried, man, because that's 35,000 potential sales opportunities that they just lost.
Absolutely, it is.
And if you're going to go down, okay, so what is a rank like? So if we're just talking Wranglers, then that means none of the other ones, right? Like the Gladiator or the Commando
we're just
or the
talking the
Castrator or
Right.
the
the Castrator,
double
man.
the
Dude,
double
that's
banana
good.
split.
The
Whatever they're
Commando,
called. Yeah, right.
The Comanche, whatever, yeah.
So it's just the Wrangler.
Just the Wrangler,
Okay.
according to them. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, that's again, it's how the numbers are being delivered to us.
Yeah.
Through this article, through this piece of news, the numbers are not lying. But the circumstances behind those numbers, were those Jeep figures? Are those units that were already produced just kind of sitting around? Did they go up because we had COVID happen and a lot of vehicles were not produced? I mean, there's a number of reasons why those numbers could be where they're at. And I have to agree with you, Keith. I think that we're not going to really see the full picture of the impact that the full-size Ford Bronco and the Bronco Sport has had on the Jeep side of this until maybe a year or two down the road. Then you'll really see it. And I'm with you. I'm shaking in my boots to know that many units were sold by Ford, and
let me
still
back
pumping
this
them
up.
out.
Let me back this up. I'm going to try to validate my point here.
Okay.
Again, I don't want to see the demise of the Wrangler line. I think it's a great.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, like we need.
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, we do, man. I love Jeep. Jeep's it's good stuff, man.
2020, if I'm not mistaken, Ford announced the Bronco, right? Wasn't
That's
that
right.
their unveiling? Brian Cranston did the video,
pretty much. Yep.
voiceovers and all that. Okay.
Yep.
So in 2020, 201,310 Jeep Wranglers sold. Now, this is coming straight from Stellantis. At that time, it might have been still Chrysler, FCA, and they're reporting.
Yeah, Fiat Chrysler,
Okay.
yeah.
So 201,000, a little bit more than that in 2020, the year that the Bronco was announced.
Right.
This year, 2021, well, last year, the most recent data we have sales for, 204,610. So not a huge variation there, right?
No.
Like a couple thousand difference, okay?
Right.
3,000-ish difference, all right? 2019, the year before the Bronco was announced. Do you want to take a guess, or you just want me to lay it on you? What kind of a dent do you think Ford's announcement made in people?
I'm going to go with over 300K.
It's not quite. It wasn't that steep. They declined between 2019 and 2020 about 30,000 units.
Oh, really?
So
I
2019
expected
total
it would have been
sold
higher.
228,042.
Okay.
2019 228,042. 2020 201,000.
Right.
So right at roughly 30,000. 2018
Right.
240,000.
240,000. Oh, there's a little bit of a decline going on
See
here.
what's happening here?
I do see. There was a lot of chatter. Do you think people were waiting around just to see what would happen? And then, maybe some of the true Jeep fans that were looking to see what that Bronco was going to be out, committed to the Bronco or didn't commit to the Bronco.
Right out of the gate, that 35,000 number that Ford said I'm showing you right there.
It hit
That's
them.
where they went, man.
Yeah, that's exactly where they
From
went.
2019 to 2020, Wrangler sales declined by roughly 30,000 units. Everybody.
Okay, so you heard it here first, right? And we're going to come back and we're going to refer back to this video in a year. You want to say a year? I think January next year would be a good time because we'll get the quarterly earnings, right?
Yeah.
We'll know how many vehicles moved. Let's revisit this thing. So make sure that you're subscribed to our channel. Make sure you're subscribed to our podcast. Our podcast is over at partscounterguru.com, and click on the podcast link. Go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/partscountergurus, and make sure you click the subscribe button, turn it from red to gray, and hit that notification bell so you're notified when that video does come out. But what an interesting piece of information we have here. So stay tuned for that, folks.
That's why we're here, everybody. All right, so
Staying
in the Ford lane, sort of.
Yeah.
But also staying in the I told you so, got Bert in the back seat saying I told you so, right?
I hate to say I told you so.
On this very program, on this very podcast, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, everybody, if you're watching this on YouTube, hi, I'm Keith, that's Jay. We are the Parts Counter Gurus. We have a little podcast over on our website, which is ironically partscounterguru.com or partscountergurus.com. Plural or singular will get you to the same destination.
Because sometimes we're one, sometimes we're two.
Yeah. It just depends on the day, right? If it ends in Y, you never know. All right. So anyway, make sure you check out the podcast over there. Thank you. And thank you all for subscribing. Last week on the podcast, I said, and this is so fresh in my memory, Jay, that this one's going to be easy for me to find. I'm going to have to call this one back and put it over here somewhere on the screen. Right.
Yes.
But basically, it was along the gist of dealerships be warned. This price gouging thing that you Ford dealers are tempted to do over these F-150 Lightning reservations is going to bite you. And I think I cited a whole bunch of Rivian and the direct-to-consumer sales model they're doing, and Tesla and the direct-consumer sales model they're doing is going to be able to bypass all that nonsense. And those people that are on the fence might look it away from Ford if they don't knock it off, right?
Right.
Because there ain't nobody that wants there are very few people that want an F-150 Lightning so bad that they are willing to be gouged another $30,000.
In fact, I know of a few people that did have reservations for this, and they caught wind of it, and they started shopping around. They went ahead and just bought another vehicle. They went to Hyundai. That's how bad it. Yeah. Hey, just saying.
So I said, Ford, I'm telling you this, man. I said Ford's going to have to step in and tell these guys to knock it off. And apparently somebody at Ford listens to the program, Jay, because a letter went out this week. Yep. Go ahead. You got it?
Yeah. Vice President of Sales, Andrew Frick, sent a letter to dealers warning them against trying to get customers with reservations for the F-150 Lightning Electric to pay additional fees to place their final orders, which became available this week, by the way. The letter was issued on Friday and surfaced on the Ford F-150 Gen 14.
Okay, now hold on. Wait a second.
Now,
I'm not saying that it was us.
Right.
But the podcast came out on Wednesday.
Yes.
And this letter came out on Friday, which
Correct.
gave this guy exactly 48 hours. I mean, it's just coincidence.
He's probably watching our podcast, because I do tag them. They get tagged.
All
so
right.
Ford Motor Company is listening.
Please continue.
Here's the deal. They put the letter up on the fan forum, but its authenticity was later confirmed by Ford. This is according to Fox Business. But since then, I went to that site, the F150Gen14.com fan site.
Takedown. They got a takedown notice.
Takedown.
Yep.
It's done. It was removed. Ford said remove it. We don't want it out
it's
there.
Confidential, yeah.
They say in the letter that these actions are perceived as threatening customers by withholding their opportunity to convert reservations to orders. He went on to reference a section of the sales service agreement that says Ford dealers shall avoid in every way any bait, deceptive, misleading, confusing, or illegal advertising or business practices, and said any outlet found in violation may lose their entire allocation of trucks for the year.
I got more.
Go.
This guy almost quoted me. We are competing with others who have a direct model, and we need to be very mindful of how customers perceive Ford and our dealer network. I told you. Oh, my God.
I hate to say I told you so.
Could it have anything to do with a recent reveal of a Silverado EV or a Hummer EV or a Rivian truck? I mean, guys, get a handle on it.
Well, what was the whole, you can have 5 M&Ms today with the kids, or you can have the whole bag if you wait a week, and the kids couldn't, it was like if you asked a 5-year-old, they just can't, they got to have the 5 right now. These dealers are kind of behaving like that. Not all dealers. Just the ones that are trying to price gouge. It's like, I'm going to take the cash in hand today so that I can gouge this guy on this one sale. And maybe forego the long-term relationship. Now, to be fair, because I've got an order in on an RV right now, and there's a similar thing going on. Some of this is the car hasn't been built yet. There's going to be inflation. There's going to be price changes on components used. We don't know what that car that we are not going to be able to build for you for 6 months is going to ultimately end up costing. So there is going to be some sort of price adjustment. I understand that, everybody. For those of you that are like, well, they're not going to... Yeah, I know. They can't give you a sales price at this point in the game until that thing's sitting on the lot.
It's the whole picture. The cost of goods to build this thing is going to change.
I get it. But what you can't do is you can't just arbitrarily slap on another $20,000.
Which, by the way, you dealerships out there, you've been doing it on this, not only this, but you've been doing it on vehicles that you have on your lot, and that is unfair. That is price gouging. You guys need to stop it.
My beloved Toyota FJ, there is a Toyota dealer very close to me that shall remain nameless that I called and said, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to sell me one of these, and I understand that this is a limited production run of 2,500, I think it was, and the guy literally just rang back with, well, there's going to be a price adjustment on it because of that, and I went, okay, well, not from the other dealer, so see ya.
Right.
And if I'm gonna, and there was another dealer in town, it was Beeman, who is dealt in volume, and they were like, sure, it's just another sale for us, we'll sell it to you for a fair price.
And I'm telling you that the markup on some of these things, these additional fees and costs, has in some cases gotten as high as $30,000.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous
on a Ford F-150 electric truck,
which is already expensive in itself. And then you're going to slap another 10, 15, 30,000 due to demand.
I mean, I could see it with a Lucid or a Karma or something those
are VIP type vehicles.
Yeah.
Those are very limited production. It's a different game.
Ferrari, sure. Like,
this is
e-tron, Audi e-tron. Yeah, I could see it. Right? It's a luxury automobile.
Right.
This is like blue collar. I just, no. It's going to come back to bite them. All right. You got to get me out of this, Jay, or my head's going to explode.
Whew, boy, man, I tell you what, we can talk and talk and talk all day about stuff like this. You're out of it. We're done. Let's move on to the next subject at hand here. And, for those of you who have not been listening, or you are listening, or you want to listen to more, or you want to watch more, go to partscounterguru.com and hit the podcast link for the podcast, or make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/partscounterguru. Ring that bell. Make sure you turn that subscribe button from red to gray. We want to talk about Shell Oil Company here. Or is it?
Oh, you mean, wait, do you mean the filling station? No, you mean the service station.
The service station.
You mean the service station. No, you mean the gas station.
The gas stations, yes. Those guys. Ooh.
No, wait. Is it service filling?
Well, it used to be service. It's no longer service because they don't provide services like they used to back in the old days. Filling station, yes, used to be filling. Now,
that was kind of the full service, like when the guys put the gas in your car.
That's correct.
Right. Then it was a gas station.
Right.
Now,
Shell is recognizing a trend. They're recognizing a trend. Now, there's a couple of articles that were out here about this. Inside EVs put one out, and their article they put out, the information came from Evanex, which is Evanex, if you don't know who they are a Tesla accessory company. So I think Inside EVs, for as a disclaimer for them, they're basically saying, We can't confirm this, but I personally went to Shell's official website, and it is confirmed. They did this in England. They converted a gas station into an EV charging hub. A lot of you may not know this, but the oil giant already operates a network of nearly 8,000 EV charging points. And they're committed to this. They're growing their network of electric charging points. Shell has set a target to operate over 500,000 charge points by 2025. They operate over 80,000 charge points for electric cars at homes and businesses. Shell retail sales and destinations that's where they're all of those are at, and you can plug into. In addition, they are currently offer access to over 300,000 additional charge points through their roaming networks. Now, why is this, Keith? Why would you think that an oil conglomerate such as Shell, a driller of the planet, a refinery of the oil to get us the petrol that we desire to put in our tanks to run, why would you think they would be doing something like this?
Because nobody's buying EVs.
Nobody?
Well, that's clearly the only logical explanation, right?
Yes. here's yeah, absolutely. I mean, you and I talked about why we think that this is why Shell's do it. They're actually being very proactive.
Right. Like, okay, what the Rust was the Rust Belt states that we, once again, like, if you're not getting your information from us, we kind of have a pretty good track record. I think we're going to do a segment on that, points to kind of some of the things we called way ahead of time soon. So make sure you ring the bell, everybody. Stay subscribed. But was it the Rust Belt? Correct me here. Where
yes,
the state
absolutely
signed,
it was.
and they
the Midwest.
Said,
yep.
The state at the state government level said we're getting involved with charging stations.
Yep. Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, all those up in Wisconsin, I think. Yep.
And we said, well, if they don't, somebody else will. So they're leaving money on the table. Right. So if a company like Shell does not do this, they're leaving money on the table. Look, guys, this doesn't have anything to do with whether you hate EVs, whether you think it's dumb. It doesn't matter. The fact that the Ford Illuminator crate motor is sold out is all you need to know. The fact that the F-150 Lightning they've doubled production on it, it's all you need to know.
And stop taking reservations because they don't want to overstep or go beyond what their actual ability to fulfill orders are. So that's how high the demand is.
Look, you can hate the idea, you can be resistant to it, you can go on websites and post forums about your nonsense about how people with electric cars are going to get stuck in the snow in a traffic jam and like whatever, man, whatever. Right. And I'm not even an EV fan. Truth be told, like I'm trying to do better, but I'm not even really a huge environmentalist. Like sometimes I don't recycle. I mean, like it's not even that for me. For me, right. and I can't speak for Jay, but it's more about the innovation and pushing the envelope. And we've on this program many times said, electricity is not always coming from a clean source. Sometimes it's coal. A lot of times it's natural gas. If you're where Jay lives, a lot of it's hydroelectric.
Yeah.
But here is the point. This ain't going away. More and more of these things are on order. More and more of these things are being sold. And if companies like Shell don't service that industry, they'll be done in 10 years. They'll be done in 10 years. And you'll be bitter on Facebook, sitting over there complaining about how this is just a fad. You and Shell.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Woo. Now they are achieving this through they're having their own solar. They're using solar energy to power these things.
Awesome.
They're using wind energy.
Yeah.
This is not new technology.
Can we convert methane like some cow farts and?
I'm sure you can, man. There's a way. I mean, you could put me on a wheel. I can generate, put me on a bicycle, pedal your way to power, So, maybe there's your answer on what happens if you get stuck in the snow. You just keep a pedal generator in the back end and you just power up your vehicle by, there you go.
So. I had a friend of mine that I've told him again and again, like, I don't even think he watches us. I said, we've driven the Mach-E. It was great. Like, he's a big Ford guy. He's got a Ford. He's got he's got a sedan. I forget if it's not the Taurus. It's the. Anyway.
I forget.
Yeah. It's one of the few sedans they still make. And he's looking at a Mach-E. And he's like, we got into this. We were going to pick up some food the other day. And I just literally pulled up the state map of where the electricity comes from. And Kansas, I know this because we drive through Kansas a lot, have like windmills everywhere. They are over, they signed they put into, basically their governor said like 5, 6, 7 years ago, we're going to be over 50% wind powered energy. And that the date's like next year. And they're already at 50%.
Yeah.
Wind power.
And you drive through Indiana, by the way, northern Indiana.
Not if I can help it, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, but you see all of the wind turbines.
Yeah,
just
you got to power those RV factories somehow, man.
Miles and miles and miles, man, of wind turbines.
So now here's where this gets like, because I'm always looking for the. Sometimes I'm looking for the big blockbuster storyline. Sometimes I'm just looking for the angle, the business angle. But, as of today, and this is definitely one of the disadvantages to the EV side of things is the time it takes to charge versus the time it takes to fill up with a tank of gas.
Right.
Unless you're driving my motorhome and then it's a
Right.
80-gallon tank and you could be there just as long.
Right.
But I digress. So if you're going to have these guys charging their cars up, why not go ahead and continue that development plan that a lot of them are already doing, where you got the Burger King or the Arby's or the Wendy's, kind of doing that thing where they're sharing the same building as the gas station.
Right.
Right? So go eat.
Yeah. And go charge.
Put an internet cafe in there. Take a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Right?
Heck, man. Go work for, go rent you a little office space. Maybe that's the next thing to come.
Do something with that space.
Pop up office and charging stations.
Yeah, you got another revenue opportunity. You got people sitting around waiting for their vehicles to charge, right?
I'm telling you right now, man, that you and I have come up with so many inventions on this show, and if the internet pop-up office happens, and you can charge your EV and still stay connected, and somebody comes up with that, it's my idea. So you need to come. Yeah.
About 20 years ago, somebody gave me as a gift. It's actually really fascinating. I don't know if it's still in print, but I'll look, and if it is, we'll put a link to it. Mentioned on the podcast. Everybody go to our website, click on the tab. You'll find it there. Somebody got me a coffee table book of prototypes and concept ideas that Apple had toyed around with. Anything from money printing machines to early generations of touch interface tablets and phones, that sort of stuff. Some of it's just fascinating. We need to do some sort of that, like coffee table book type thing of just basically ideas we had, and like they ended up coming into fruition, right? They
Right.
became reality.
Right.
What do we call it, Jay? Told you so?
I think something like that.
Put a big yellow hat on the cover
I
with a
told you
bolo
so.
tie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and why are we surprised at some of this technology? Why are we surprised at some of the directions that we're going into? And if, like you said, you had that 20 years ago, and you look at now what we use on a daily basis, most of that product is being used. I mean, it's just insane, So,
Yeah, well, and you have the whole life imitating art, and at times art imitating life. Although,
right.
More lately, it's been life imitating art.
Yeah. I've said this on numerous occasions to you, maybe not specifically on this show. I know that I won't live forever. I'm going to be around for hopefully a few more decades. But what's going to be disappointing to me when I do leave this beautiful planet, or wherever I go, I don't know how that happens. I'll know the secret. I'll know the secret when that time comes.
Yeah, you and Betty White. Yeah,
me and Betty. But I would be a little disappointed not to see what it's going to be like from a technological standpoint in 40 years.
Well, I think I can help you with that. Hang on one second. Hey, can one of you guys get me Ted Williams? What was that company that? Did anybody got their phone number? Hey, I'll get it. I'll email it to you.
Okay. Yeah. Woo. Crazy, man.
Yeah. It will be. It will definitely be. It would be fascinating. The old joke of like bring back any of our founding fathers, right? Like anybody that signed the Declaration of Independence,
right? Yeah.
Pick a story from today's news headlines and read it to them, and just watch their reaction.
Right. It's insane. Times are changing, folks. Be ready.
But not everything's changed, right?
No.
Some things have the stick around power and the stick to itiveness and the staying power.
What are you talking about, Keith?
Save the best for last, didn't we?
Yeah.
Save the best for last.
Like Jay, there's art, right? And there's movies that my wife makes fun of me that I watch because there's just lots of explosions and, like the Bond films and, some of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And, or, some of although she watches the Marvel stuff too, but that's just good family stuff. There's lots of explosions and fights and battles and, And it's just good old fashioned, explosions, as Bruckheimer would say, right? Boom. So,
boom.
I used to be sort of, I would be put out, like, if somebody would try to play trash music on one of my, like, systems. You gotta admit, man, sometimes it's just good to have just get a little sauced and watch something funny, right? Like just find a show that you can relax and not think too much on, right? As my wife would say, what are you, 12?
Cornholio.
All right, let it out of the bag, man. It's yours.
Okay. After a long hiatus, man, apparently Beavis and Butt-Head are coming back. There's a new movie. They're out back in February 2021. They resurfaced with an announcement about a new movie, and it's going to be on Paramount Plus from what we understand now. Now, there was a trailer that ran on the long-awaited sequel to 1996's Beavis and Butt-Head Do America, and it's 26 years later, and they're going to come through with it. We've seen Beavis. There's a couple of clips that I've seen. They've gained a little weight. They've gotten a little older, as they should.
Yeah, he's making them look middle-aged.
Which I think is fantastic. And this comes from Mike Judge. Now, you can go to his Twitter account. He is at Mike Judge. Beavis, and he puts it out there. Beavis and Butt-Head will be returning this year with a brand new movie and more on Paramount Plus. No exact date yet, but soon. They need some time to get back in shape. And then he posted the caricatures that he has drawn up here, the new ones. And yes, they're a little older,
a little rough around the edges, man.
A little rough around the edges, man. But I'm kind of excited about that, man. I loved that show, as stupid as it was. And when I say stupid, I mean you're right. Sit down, have a drink, and just, there's no thought process. It's just watch the shenanigans go.
Yeah.
And just crack up and just have a laugh. I love that. That was a show that I really enjoyed. My kids thought it was, it's the fart in the room joke stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's some would say it's immature. Okay, whatever. I don't care. I love it. I think it's fantastic. We need those moments in our life. We all liked Family Guy. We all liked King of the Hill. Why not, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, man. I mean, have you seen the stuff on social media? I mean, have you seen what, like, people watch on TikTok? Have you seen... I mean, come on, man. I mean, people spend hours out of their day on Facebook, like, looking at worse things. I think the timing is good. I think we might be hungry for a little seventh grade humor.
Right. I hope so. I hope it's Mike Judge, man. It's not going to let you down. It's going to be what it is.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to it. And hey, Mike Judge, if you'd like to come on to our podcast, please reach out to us. You can go to partscountergurus.com/contact us, or contact or something like that, right?
You said Duru.
Wait a minute. Parts what?
He said parts. Anyway, so there you go, guys. Be looking forward to something later in this year. Beavis and Butt-Head are coming back. I could not wait to tell our audience that. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I know I will. So anyway, that's it for the day, isn't it? Gosh, man.
It's a good one, right?
That's a good one. I enjoy that.
I got a little bit more worked up than normal, so we'll have to see how that trends.
I think I did too. I can't thank you guys enough for listening today. I've enjoyed it. Keith, thank you. Can you take us out of this thing? Get us out of here?
Okay, bye. One day, man. One day. Just
one of these days.
Yeah, it'll be funny. All right, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. That is the show for this time. So until next time, that's my friend Jay over there. I'm Keith. Y'all know what to do. You know what to do. You've heard it many times on this program. I'm not going to make you listen to me say it again. Just do it. And in the words of Hunter S. Thompson, too weird to live, too rare to die. See you next time, Jay.